Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the Department for International Trade. It's our technical and vocational education and training showcase. It's the second of 5 events, and each day this week we're showcasing 2 UK suppliers, and they're going to talk about technical and vocational training, particularly in times of a pandemic. We have 2 fantastic speakers for you today. Our first speaker from the National Skills Academy from Vale is Mr. Neil Robertson, and he'll be up in a moment. And then a few minutes after that, we will have Eric Couturier from Cardiff and Vale College, and he will showcase what they're doing in Wales. So, as we're tight for time, I'm going to dive straight in and ask my colleague, Mr. Neil Robertson, to step up and begin his presentation. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, just before we do get underway, sorry, if you have any questions at all that you would like to pose, because at the end of the sessions, we're going to have a question session, of course, please do post them in the chat bar and I'll pick up the questions and put them to my speakers at the end of the session. So thanks very much. Over to Neil.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for the invite, and good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to see so many of you here. My case studies are both about China, but they are highly relevant to other ASEAN countries, and indeed we are pursuing many of them in Malaysia with DIT colleagues and Malaysian government colleagues there. And some of the material that I described today will be covered in a chapter in a forthcoming Asia Development Bank book about learning societies. So watch out for that as well. Anyway, thank you very much. Let's jump in. So the National Skills Academy for Rail is a not-for-profit company set up by government a number of years ago to take a sectoral view rather than a regional view of skills needs. Next slide, John. Wisely, the UK government have got a prosperity fund, and we were fortunate to secure some funding to expose industry and local policymakers and funders in China to the UK approach, particularly based on occupational standards and our apprenticeship model. So there's a lovely city called Ningbo, not far from Shanghai, which is quite big in the manufacturing sector. And a number of the big employers there had spent a lot of money on new machinery, and they weren't getting the return on investment from their machinery. So we decided to train the workforce. And there's not a culture in China of on-the-job training. And most of the workers were at level 2, but some not even at that, to be honest. And we put them through a significant chunk, not all of a significant chunk of an EAL level 3 program, relevant to their skill sets, particularly mapped to occupational standards. And the outcome, we worked with a local college, so that if you like, the approach was left behind. And the outcomes were very positive. Next slide, John. We wanted to increase the candidates' workplace skills, of course, also safety, and also quality. Next slide, please. So, as I say, we used the level 3 MVQ diploma, which we particularly focused on the lathes because that was the new equipment that had been fitted into the local factories. Next one, please. It was a fascinating, I well remember the award ceremony. It was a brilliant event. We got a very high achievement for over 80%. And the workers tried very hard. It was clearly an unfamiliar process for them, and particularly on the safety side, they really struggled with that. But they completed the course. They enjoyed it. You could see you could tell that the environment was good. There was a mix of local college people. We got some college people from another part who had more experience with the UK standards, and I sent a team over. Next one, please. So I suppose the biggest outcome was that the most important outcome was that the Chinese factories were then able to work at level 3 and produce more complicated things that they'd been asked for, but they were never able to do, although the new machinery could do it. And that, in effect, was the most important outcome from the local economy. But for the local policymakers, this was an eye-opener, and it's a real culture change to use a system of standards and B, a system of with proper quality systems, and then mapped to the workplace. So carrying on learning in the workplace, persuading employers to release people, all a big deal. So that was a nice success, but it's part of a bigger plan. So Jonathan, can we go on to the second part, please? Moving on. Next one. We'll go to the next case study. So go back one, Jonathan, if you could. So in this one, the word of the approach got out, and also an approach we've been using, and the Malaysians will really recognise this, but it's the main topic of the Asia Development Bank, which is strategic workforce planning. Now, we have been using in the UK strategic workforce planning to make a huge difference to how we plan our skills, even how we plan our whole infrastructure projects, to make sure we've got the right skills in the right place at the right time. And it's a real science, this now. It's really moved on a lot. So if you've not looked at it recently, I urge you to have a look. And it's used by big companies, but especially by funders, clients of big infrastructure projects, and at a regional level as well. And there's a big city called Zhengzhou in China, kind of in the middle of China. I hadn't been before, but they've got a very forward-thinking local administration, and also the biggest railway college in the world. Now, you can imagine I visit lots of railway colleges. This was on another level, so very impressive. Next slide, Jonathan, please. Next one. So we are training the workforce there, the college workforce, and the local funders and policymakers in the kinds of techniques that I've been talking about that really make for what we would see as the more advanced approach to skills. And the main, but by far not the only focus, is this workforce planning. And we have a system to manage this called the SIM, the Skills Intelligence Model. But in a nutshell, the workers are being trained in how to predict the future workforce. What have you got now? What's their skills levels? Where are they? What skills levels are needed in future? With a particular focus on Industry 4.0 and reskilling workers. Next slide, please, Jonathan. Then the next phase is linking this to a recruitment service, really talking about how to recruit in a more scientific way, and how to increase diversity through the recruitment. So that's again another system these policymakers have been trained in. Next one, John. Then competency management, and this is linked to the first one. So once you've got your prediction, how do you know you're on track? This helps you understand that you're on track, but it's also useful to employers. So employers use this system to track the competence of their workforce in a live and dynamic way. There are many competence management systems, of course, and the advantage of this one is that it's quite easy to use. But of course, it's also linked to the skills intelligence model. So if you've got both systems, you can really see how you're performing against your plan. And the local policymakers are now applying this back in Zhengzhou, using also UK standards. So they're integrating UK standards into the delivery programs, into the college, the railway college, and another technical college. And then the policymakers are using this and working with enterprises to make sure that the competency management system is understood, and that the data surveys are being completed. So in a nutshell, what we're particularly pleased with here is the rounded and strategic and even holistic approach that starts from the very beginning. What skills do we need in 10 years' time? and worked back for it, drawing on inputs from the approach in the UK. And it's been a great pleasure, and I see it developing quite fast in both those regions of China and across ASEAN. So Jonathan, that was very kind of you to give me the chance to share that. As you can tell, I'm quite excited about it, and I hope the colleagues on the call will follow up if they need to. But thank you so much for the chance to speak to you this afternoon.
Thank you so much indeed, Neil. And now we move on to Eric. As I say, Eric is from Cardiff and Vale College to share his experience. Thank you. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Today, I'm here to basically discuss what we've done with the college and our apprentice, and how we went from a merger back in 2011 to winning Best Dessert at the Young Chef Olympiad in India last year. Next slide, please. So we basically focus, our department focus on training and developing skill in the hospitality and catering industry. We are keen to develop the workforce for the future, not just here in Wales, but further afield as well, and basically enhance the hospitality sector, working with some high quality and skilled training in order to meet the gap of the global industry. Next slide, please. We've got a 45 million pound campus right in the heart of the city, 5 minutes walk from the train station. As I previously mentioned, there was a merge from Vale College and College Glenavon back in 2011, and we are sat in in the best place really of the capital city, which is growing at a very fast pace across UK and Europe. Our restaurant, we've got a restaurant which is a 75-seater restaurant which open to the public 6 days a week, and basically we've had recognition since 2016, where we first gained as a center of excellence application for hospitality, patisserie, confectionery, but we've also been recognized nationally and a bit further afield, gaining a rosette in 2017 and Restaurant of the Year for Cardiff, which was great. The students are working within the restaurant, developing their skill, working with some highly qualified staff, and basically that's been recognized and showcased. Next, please. So all the qualification we are delivering are accredited and regulated by, of course, City and Guild, Pearson's, FDQ, and CH, which are all awarding body in the industry. Qualification we are delivering are from level 1 to level 4. Going on to level 5 is a possibility. Our chef qualification are from level 1 to level 4. We also do deliver level front of house hospitality and hospitality management. We are big believers that at level 2 our learners should experience both sides, i.e. front of house or kitchen, in order to gauge what pathway is best for them. And when they are they've decided what to follow, they basically go and specialize in that one at level 3, level 4, and so on. We also do food manufacturing and baking, confectionery. This was a result of discussion with the local employer and meeting the gap in the industry and further afield. All our learners have got a food hygiene level 2 or level 3, again, because this is now a requirement in the industry to make sure everybody's working with the right health and safety regulations. Next, please. So going back to our journey to win 2020 dessert, Yayan Jones went to compete in India part of the Young Chef Olympiad. That was our fourth participation to the competition. They are competing over 60 different countries, and mentoring from the team and development. We were very, very, very proud, as you can imagine. Yayan won the best dessert, the first of 60 countries, and he was in the top 10 overall for the whole competition. He was a young lad who started with us after finishing school. He came to us and he did his level 2, and as I said, professional cookery and also front of house. His desire was to become a chef, so therefore he challenged his energy to do a level 3 with us, and we saw some talent, and basically with the team we worked and we developed him, and we were very, very, very happy, to get this result, to showcase what we can do, really. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. The way we are working that way really is because we are working with a different employer and work-based learning opportunity. So we are part of an employer board which sit for 4 times a year. We meet with the key employer in the area and find out exactly where the gaps are, how we can help and develop the learners and the workforce of the future, but also they find us some very good work placement. We are engaged with the Cardiff Hotelier Association, which is an association of the 22 biggest hotels in Cardiff. And again, we are able to steer with these people in order to engage learners to come into the industry and develop the skills, transferable skills for the future. We take part in a lot of events, especially around with the Millennium Stadium and the rugby team, a national rugby team, where we do some testimonial dinners and so on and so forth. We also get our Michelin star chef. We've got a lot of connections with some very highly skilled chefs across the UK, and basically we invite them to come and do some pop-ups with us, and they come and they do some master classes, which we are very fortunate. And that gives us also the opportunity to offer some very good work experience and placement and employment to our learners, coupled to since Celtic Manor, which hosted the G7 summit with Obama in 2014, some 5-star hotels and so on. Next slide, please. So what we can offer, where is this coming, quite interesting for us really, is, because we do work on curriculum design. So basically we can meet the need of each countries as we work. We can look at what's the market and what you're looking for, and basically come with a tailor-made curriculum for you, which we can do. We can also, do different things like training the trainer in order to make sure that the workforce is, well equipped to develop the next generation. And same with the assessor, really. We can, give some English language support and qualification. And all that can be done, online or in person. We've got different programs which we can work through. So basically, that's what we could offer, really, to your part of the world. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. So that was me. This is a little, basically, screenshot of Cardiff and Vale College, based in Wales, and what we are doing at present. And open to questions if there's any. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. Really interesting to see how you are working from the college in Wales. If I can ask Neil to come back online as well, we'll take some questions, and we do have a few questions that have come in privately to me, and one there publicly. So if Neil's there, and let's see what we can do in terms of responding to our friends who are online. So the first question that I have for you is NSAR in its title is very specific to rail, but it is what NSAR does covering other industries, and how can your methods be applied to other industry sectors in ASEAN?
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, we've stuck with the original title, but we work across all of the main infrastructure sectors using this. This approach can be used for any sector, you know, because it's generic. It's workforce planning, competency management, UK standards, and quality assurance. Any sector at all. We've been recently working with the screen industry, which, as you can imagine, is different kind of people coming into the office or meeting from the usual engineers, but it works just as well. It's most useful in those sectors that have it takes longer to skill up. So where you've got 3 or 4 years to competency rather than 1 or 2, because it's more about the long term. And it also helps in those sectors where there are particular skill shortage or new technologies. So any sector that is being disrupted, you might say, by digital, you can apply that, because you have to make a judgment as to how many people need to be upskilled or reskilled and when. So both examples are in construction, offshore wind, and we do a lot of work in the digital sectors, and we provide the EQA for the external quality assurance for all the digital apprenticeships in the UK.
Thank you so much, Neil. So next question is, I guess this applies to both of you. Is the training that you deliver, that students receive, are the qualifications and the certificates that are produced on the back of that accepted worldwide?
If I can jump in, yes, the hospitality qualification, we are working with City and Guild, which is a well-renowned worldwide awarding body, and all our chefing front of house qualification are recognized. Yes.
Okay, great. Anything to add to that, Neil?
Yes, generally the qualifications are accepted and given the appropriate credit, if you like. I think perhaps what I'm more interested in, though, is the standards, and the standards themselves are the things that I think are particularly valued internationally, because, and rightly so, because so much time and effort has been put in by many people to prepare those standards and keep them up to date. And they're a fantastic resource. And the qualifications are just sort of packages of those standards, and good providers such as Eric do really creative things with those standards. But at the end of the day, the standards are the building blocks and the currency. They're the bit that the employers understand. They don't know EAL or City and Guilds or ENSAR or anybody else. But when you translate the standards to them, they make perfect sense to them. It's really quite interesting to watch.
Thank you both so much. Next question. How can we replicate the success that you have, particularly in rail, in China, in the Philippines, and to do more in Malaysia?
Well, let's take Malaysia first. Malaysia's taken an excellent approach, and we're hoping to have a signing ceremony in relation to this quite soon. But they're setting up the National Rail Centre of Excellence to really take on board all of the stuff that I've talked about, and some of the delivery stuff Eric's talked about in rail. And so that's a national policy approach. We believe, and my colleague Mark Holmes visited the Philippines quite recently to explore this before lockdowns, and we both felt that there was a lot of opportunity in the Philippines to, particularly with such a great workforce, to upskill them a level to really make them competitive, but also to provide resources for the many exciting infrastructure projects that are happening in the Philippines. And from a government point of view, the prize here is that you get local people doing the work, which and then local people looking after it afterwards. And that's the biggest prize. And the economic value of that, which is something we measure, is much, much higher if you do it that way.
Thank you. I'm just conscious of time. It is 30 minutes, but I'm just going to go on because we started 5 minutes late. So we have a couple more questions that come in. There's one on screen which we'll take first. in what ways can vocational schools in ASEAN connect with you both and collaborate with you both?
Shall I go first then, Eric? Just quickly from me. So what I mentioned just briefly there, the idea of local content, and that's the area. So if imagine there's going to be a new thing built, a bridge, a tunnel, a railway, a port, an airport. Stop stuffing your papers, Jonathan, please. Then what we could do is, what the part of the deal that we help the government do is write into local procurement standards that the successful contractor will take people from level 2 to level 3 because they have the industrial knowledge, and then the local vocational schools and colleges can get people from 0 to level 2, and that's the first thing. And the way we can specifically support the colleges to do that and schools is to help them with standards, also to help them with training of trainers, and to encourage the successful contractors who are building the thing, whatever it is, to put equipment, relevant equipment, into those colleges as well. And we've done some of that in Malaysia to some effect. So, and it's quite common in South America, quite a lot of that is happening as well.
Thanks, Neil. Anything to add, Eric?
Yes, basically, as Neil mentioned, about training the trainer, so we could have, make a cut with the educational aspect of each country, or maybe multitude of one, and basically, just get, to train the trainers, and go out there and basically, give that level of education and make sure they are. They understand the curriculum and what's required, and also train the assessor, and therefore and after offer that support in order to make sure everything is being done in line with awarding bodies and all bodies which are regulated. So therefore we are taking the workforce and we are showing what's required. We develop a program in relation to what's needed at a regional level or national level, basically because it's going to be different everywhere you go, and basically we develop this and we make sure that the trainer understand what's required and they can take it forwards moving forward.
Thank you so much. Might I ask you actually, as they our guests online do want to connect with you, perhaps you could post, Eric and Neil, your contact details in the chat function, and then people can pick them up so that they can connect direct with you. A quick question about employer engagement. So what key lessons would you share in terms of engaging with employers?
Well, that's a big feature of the Ningbo program, where we ENSAR did some of the engagement, rather than saying the local officials. And the key point was we said, see that machine there, you'll get twice the productivity out of it. So productivity was the primary argument, and then we had to work back to a business case that says you've got to release your people and pay for them to be trained. Although in this case the training was subsidised by the Prosperity Fund, but so that we help them with the wider business case for training. But again, I mentioned the standards, and that's the second thing. The standards made sense to them. They liked the fact that we were sort of codifying what was kind of happening loosely. And when we said, we think your workers are between level 1 and level 2, and here's the things they can do, it really made sense to them. So we showed an appreciation of their workforce by using the standards, and then gave them a picture of where their workforce could be. And it was clear that that was something they were really not used to, a debate they weren't used to having.
Okay, so if I can step in, basically we work constantly with our employer board. So mentioned during the presentation, we've created an employer board who's been going on for a number of years now, and we sit down and we listen very carefully of what they are telling us, where the gaps are, and where we can help and support them. As a result of it, we've actually developed some programs, some qualification which have been accredited in Wales, and therefore is to have that connection with it, and also bringing the people in from the employers. We are bringing them to come and have some talk with our learners, and we are basically the two-way traffic in order to make sure we close the gap.
Thank you so much, Eric and Neil. And the final question that we have today from our guests is, how long does it take to create a bespoke curriculum and deliver that curriculum from the point of understanding demand from employers?
If I go first, we basically, when we understand the employer is they're looking, or what the region is looking for, and whether we can go to look at what qualifications are available, what we can sort out, how we can sort it out, and communicate that to the customer in order to make sure they are fit for purpose, and that's what they are looking for. When we've got that bespoke program, we can actually quite quickly turn around a fit for purpose qualification or program which we can sell. After, we can obviously, with the regulation of the pandemic and traveling and everything, so the beginning of it will be done remotely, I suppose, but we can get the engagement going. Until the time with vocational qualification is very difficult to do everything remotely. It will be that aspect where some people will have to come to us for the training, or we will have to go across in order to make sure we can do that face-to-face development. But I will say from we are working in a window than less than 12 months, even sooner than that, if everybody are engaged effectively.
My answer is 6 months if we haven't done the workforce plan. If we have done the workforce plan, because that's quite specific about levels and skill sets, 3 months.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much indeed. And that draws the end to the questions that I have on screen. And so it just leaves me to say huge thanks to both Neil and Eric for their part in today's webinar. And what we want to make sure is that you do connect with them. So there are some connection details in the chat function. Please do connect directly with Neil and Eric. Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Just a reminder that the rest of this week we do have 3 more sessions, one on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, where 2 more UK suppliers each day will be showcasing different elements of the UK TVET system and how it can be applied in the pandemic and beyond. So thank you all very much indeed. We hope that it's been of use to you. Thank you.
Thank you.